What do you do when the woman you promised to love forever is carrying another man's child? I found the sonogram tucked away in the glove box of her Lexus, dated just 3 weeks ago. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the flimsy piece of paper. The ultrasound image, a tiny gray blur against a black background, felt like a judgment. Her name, Jennifer, was printed at the top, clear as day. But the father's name? You're blank. We were in the middle of a heated argument about her late nights, her sudden work trips to Milwaukee, and the way she flinched whenever I touched her phone. She was yelling, accusing me of being paranoid, when I finally snapped, walked out to the garage of our Lincoln Park home, and started searching her car. Now, holding this proof, a single question echoed in the silent garage. What happens now? If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from. And what time it is right now? It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. It all started subtly, a new perfume, a sudden obsession with the gym. Late-night texts she'd laugh off as just the girls. I was a fool. I was a trusting husband who believed the woman I'd married 7 years ago. The woman I'd built a life with in our beautiful brownstone just off North Clark Street was as devoted as I was. We met at a Cubs game at Wrigley Field, a classic Chicago love story. I was an architect. She was in marketing. Life was good, perfect, even or so I thought. The first real crack appeared 3 months ago. It was our anniversary. I'd booked a table at Alinea, a place she'd been dying to go to for years. I had to pull strings, call in favors. At 6 p.m., an hour before our reservation, she called. "Babe, I am so sorry," she said, her voice strained. "This huge deal just exploded at work. My boss is flying in. I have to stay. We'll celebrate this weekend, I promise." I was disappointed, but I understood. Or at least, I told myself I did. I ate a sad steak alone at home and watched the city lights flicker over Lake Michigan from our window. The weekend came and went. No celebration, just more excuses. Her behavior grew colder, more distant. She started picking fights over nothing. The way I loaded the dishwasher. The fact I left my shoes by the door. She called me boring, predictable. One night, during a bitter argument, she sneered, "Maybe if you were more of a man, I wouldn't need so much space." The words hit me like a physical blow. The woman I loved was looking at me with pure contempt. That night, I cried for the first time since my father died. I hid in the guest bathroom so she wouldn't hear me, my body shaking with silent sobs. I felt pathetic, humiliated. The love of my life was making me feel worthless in my own home. The suspicion started as a whisper in the back of my mind and grew into a roar. I hired a private investigator. It felt sordid, like something out of a cheap movie, but I had to know. 2 weeks and $5,000 later, I had my answer. A thick manila envelope landed on my desk. Inside were photos. Jen, my Jen, kissing a man on the steps of a high-end condo in the Gold Coast. Him, with his arm draped possessively around her waist, as they walked into Gibson's Bar and Steakhouse. The PI's report identified him, Mark Renslow, senior partner at her firm, married, with 2 kids. He felt untouchable, laughing in the photos, oblivious to the world they were destroying. My world. That night, sitting in my darkened office, surrounded by blueprints for buildings I no longer had the heart to design, something inside me broke. The grief turned to ice. The heartbreak curdled into a cold, calculating rage. She didn't just cheat, she humiliated me. She dismantled my self-worth piece by piece while playing the victim. She wanted a war? Fine, but I was going to choose the battlefield, and I would burn everything to the ground. The first step was securing my assets. I met with the best divorce lawyer in Chicago, a shark named Ms. Albright. I showed her the PI's report. When I mentioned Jen's job in marketing and Mark's position as a senior partner, Albright's eyes lit up. "Does her company have a morality clause for senior management?" she asked. Quick search of the company's public filings confirmed it. They did. Very strict one. Next, I meticulously started documenting everything. I set up a hidden app on our shared home computer that logged every keystroke. I found their secret email account. The messages were sickeningly sweet and brutally cruel. They mocked me, my job, my love for her. They planned their future, a future built on the ashes of my life and his own family's. I copied every email, every photo, every chat log onto a secure hard drive. Proof. Cold, hard, undeniable proof. Jen became more brazen. She told me she was going on a women's wellness retreat in Arizona for a week. The pie confirmed she and Mark had booked a suite at the Four Seasons in Scottsdale. While she was gone, I played the part of the lonely, pining husband. I sent her texts saying I missed her. I even had flowers delivered to her office for her return, a public display of my devotion. The irony was a bitter pill, but it was part of the plan. While she was living it up in the desert, I was preparing for the final act. I drafted 2 identical packages. Each contained the entire pie report, copies of the emails, the sonogram, and a detailed timeline of their affair. I also included a separate, sealed envelope for Mark's wife, containing the most intimate and damning of their exchanges. My lawyer advised against direct contact, but this wasn't about legal strategy anymore. This was about justice. The day she came back, she was glowing, tanned, relaxed, and utterly oblivious. She handed me a cheap souvenir from the airport, a keychain with a cactus on it. "Miss me?" she asked, a smug little smile on her face. I forced a smile back. "More than you know," I replied. The following Monday was D-Day. I had arranged for the packages to be delivered by courier, one to the CEO of her company, the other to Mark's home address in Kenilworth, a wealthy suburb north of the city. I timed it perfectly. The couriers were scheduled to arrive at 9 a.m. sharp. At 9:15 a.m., my phone rang. It was Jen. Her voice was a hysterical shriek. "What did you do? What did you do?" she screamed. I could hear chaos in the background, shouting, people talking. "I'm being escorted out of the building. They fired me. They fired Mark. My life is over." I stayed calm. "Your life, Jen," said, my voice dangerously quiet. "You mean the life you were building with him? The one you both laughed about behind my back?" That life silence, then a choked sob. "The baby," she whispered. "It's his." "I know," I said. "I've known for weeks. I hope Mark is ready to be a father again, 'cause you're going to need his help. You see, I had our joint accounts frozen this morning. The house is in my name. The cars are in my name. You have nothing." The final blow landed a few hours later. Call from an unknown number. It was Mark's wife. She was crying, but her voice was steady. "Thank you," she said simply, before hanging up. That evening, I walked through the silent rooms of our home. Her perfume still lingered in the air, a ghostly reminder. I gathered all of her things, her clothes, her pictures, her stupid cactus keychain, and packed them into boxes. I left them on the front porch. I didn't feel triumph. I didn't feel joy. I just felt empty. The rage was gone, replaced by a profound, hollow quiet. The city lights of Chicago twinkled outside, just as they always had, but they looked colder now, more distant. I poured myself a glass of water and stood by the window, looking out over the life I had built and the life I had just methodically destroyed. Her ghost was all that was left. The end.